questions?
James, how's the week going for Ethan Grunkemeyer so far?
Good. Yeah. Ethan will be the backup quarterback in the game. Smolik still isn't cleared medically. Grunk's done a really good job and put himself in a position that we have a lot of confidence in. He's getting a ton of reps this week.
You mentioned Monday that Smolik had you cleared for about a week. Is that a miscommunication?
Been cleared for practice. So I misspoke. Been cleared for practice, but not competition. Yeah, it's more part of his rehab.
Did you see Ethan taking snaps in some 2 quarterback plays or anything like that, or is he still not ready for this?
As you can imagine, that does not help us answering that question.
How does this impact the scout team? Having to move Ethan out of that role. We've seen him in the other quarterback's jerseys for most of this year. How did you have to juggle things from that perspective?
We've been rotating him up all year long anyway, so not a big deal. Lambo's done a really good job all year long doing that, and Smolik, that's part of his, obviously working back in the reps.
When a running back used to play wide receiver, obviously you face a lot of good running backs that can catch the football, but is there a difference, or is there an extra challenge of a guy who used to play that position is now in the backfield?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that, other than the fact that obviously they're pretty purposeful in terms of their plan to try to get him involved as much as they possibly can in the pass game. But there's other running backs obviously we have faced that have also done that, but he's very comfortable doing it. It's been very effective.
Coach, you talked about Monday, right? Not being like a big transfer portal team. The guys that you were able to bring in for this season, talk about their impact and their role in getting you this far.
The ones we brought in last year.
Yeah, the ones for this season.
Those guys have been great. I think that's the thing for us, is we want to be very selective and strategic about who we bring in and what their role is going to be and why. And to me, we look at it from a lot of different levels. Is this a good opportunity for them? And does it also make sense for us and our roster? So trying to take all those things into account. Obviously, the success that we've had makes us attractive to a lot of young men out there that want to play at this level and want to play these types of games. And then obviously, being able to have guys like Tyler Warren and Abdul Carter and so on and so forth that are up for awards and All-Americans and things like that. Those things help too. So it's an attractive option, but we're very strategic about who we get involved with and who we bring in.
James, with Smolik not cleared, who would be the number 3 option?
That we don't have a third option right now.
Would you consider at all like giving Tyler Warren reps at quarterback? I know it may sound silly, but he's throwing the ball this year.
Yeah, again, I get the questions. I understand you guys got to ask the questions, but like our strategy and what we would do in this game, saying it now so they can start preparing for it during the week, I don't think makes a whole lot of sense. I'd be happy to talk about those things in the off season in detail with you guys.
James, from a production standpoint, Omari's production really tapered off for much of Big Ten play, but he had a spike toward the end, and in the Big Ten championship we saw him make some plays. Anything evident to you about why Omari's kind of had that re-emergence in the best stack from a production standpoint?
No, it's the same answer I give you guys all the time. Like, we want to get all these guys involved in the offense, and based on the coverage and what the defense gives us, that's going to determine guys one week have a big game and other weeks maybe not as big of an impact. So you can't get everybody the ball as much as we would like to. We expect him to have a big week this week, and we'll see how it plays out. But obviously we'd love for all those guys to be able to have an impact in the game, but planning is one thing. What actually happens in the game is another.
James, any quarterback that you guys have faced that Kevin Jennings kind of compares to? Obviously, you faced multiple guys with Howard and Derek Green earlier this year.
Lamar. We haven't played the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens, but that's who he reminds me of. Athletic, can extend plays, can make big plays, does a really good job of keeping his eyes down the field. I think that's his style of play. I don't know if we have anybody else that we have played this year that's similar to him. But he reminds me, his game really reminds me a lot of Lamar Jackson.
James, as much. Go ahead.
Hey James, how have you seen your offensive line improve over the course of the season, and how they match up now with a front seven or a front half of the defense that SMU offers?
Yeah, it'll be a challenge. I thought we had a challenge last week, and the guys did a great job stepping up to that, and we're gonna need to do that again on Saturday. Obviously, us being able, like to the point that was made earlier, being able to go and get a guy like Lucci back, who we've known for a very long time, and to be able to get him part of the program, that was big, really big for us right now. And he's doing a tremendous job, and he just continues to seem to get more and more confident, more and more comfortable each week. So, that's going to be an important matchup in this game, as you guys know.
James, as much of a grind as December has become, how tough is it on families of the coaches and staff and everybody else? How difficult is this time for everybody?
Yeah, it's just different, right? It's in other years you'd be out on the road recruiting. That's challenging. But yeah, I think for most of us, the families, it is challenging. There's a major sacrifice made by the families and the kids. That's why we work really hard to create an environment where the significant others and children come to the office, come to practice as much as possible. I just took up-to-date pictures with Kevin Threlkill's two daughters. We try to make that as much a part of what we do and how we operate as possible, because it's a grind on everybody. So the only thing I'll say on the other end of this is most of our families don't know any different, right? We think this is normal. So I think that helps to a degree.
Keon Wylie.
Yeah, it's kind of the same circumstance. Kind of the same circumstance. Yes, he could, but at this stage, not fully cleared for game reps.
Hey James, Andy Kolnick talked about on Monday going to the well, the idea of going to the well one too many times when calling a play in a game, or I guess on a larger scale, my question is going to the well one too many times for an idea that you might want to use against a team that has a similar style as what you've seen previously. What's your thought on reusing things that have worked and been successful for you, but also maybe going to it one too many times?
I'm like you guys. When we go to it and it works, it's awesome. And when it doesn't, it sucks, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the fine line with all this stuff, right? How much you do on offense, how much you do on defense that you do well, how many times you call something to make sure that they can defend it, but then when do you stop? You call it one too many times, and now it's not as effective. So that's the fine line. It's not a science. It's also an art to it. You're trying to predict things that aren't always predictable. And then not only that, you may call it at the right time, and their three technique just beats our guard, and now it's not effective. So there's a lot of reasons for plays and things to be successful. I think what Andy does a really nice job of, and I've said this to you guys before in my 11 years, is I think as a play caller, where you really make your money, there's 4 to 6 calls a game that are critical. And, the rest of them, for the most part, as much time as we spend game planning on what you're going to do in opening drives or your first third and short or your first third and medium, those things are pretty much staff discussions that are planned out. But there's that feel of when to make a specific call that your gut and all your film study tells you you're gonna get what you want right here. It helps in today's college football that we do so much check with me. Either at the line of scrimmage with the quarterback or to the sideline, that helps. But still, I think there's 4 to 6 plays a game that really define a very successful major college coordinator.
Coach, with Rucci and AJ, younger players that you were able to bring in, they went from kind of guys you thought maybe could build depth at the beginning to guys that are now playing huge roles. Talk about how they've been able to kind of reach this point right now.
Yeah, I don't know if I would describe it the way you did. I don't think I've ever described those guys as depth guys. We don't go to the portal and tell guys we're bringing them in to be depth guys. Now, obviously, we also don't promise any starting jobs. They got to earn it. But those guys obviously are big contributors for us right now. We're going to need them to play well on Saturday, but I never viewed either one of those guys as depth guys for us.
Hey James, how do you prepare for the tempo that SMU likes?
Yeah, we've been doing tempo periods the last couple days, good on good, because as much as we do it with the scout teams and those things are fine, it's not the same as going good on good. So we've done that full speed every day against our offense and against our defense, tempo periods with the plays that we run, but similar concepts that they run that serve the purpose and allow our defense to get what they need.
James, you recently got a transfer commitment from Kryon Hudson.
I'm not allowed to talk. I'm not allowed to talk about
James,
it's NCAA rule.
James, we saw on social media last week Jaylen Reed shared
Trying to get me a violation.
Jay Reed shared that he was in a car accident last night. We saw him at practice today. Is he good to go on Saturday? And as a coach, there's certain things outside of your control that can happen. What is that like to go through something like that?
Well, what I would first like is for us not to share all of our business on social media so that this is even a discussion. But at the end of the day, I'm glad Jay Reed is safe and healthy. In some ways, I look at all these guys like my sons. I got a very close relationship with Jay Reed and his mom. So the most important thing, he's healthy. And I don't mean just for football. He's healthy and good. That's the most important thing. And then obviously we sure are glad that he's full go and no issues.
Time for two more, guys.
SMU racks up a lot of penalty yardage. Is there almost a way to force a team to commit extra uncharacteristic penalties?
Not anything more than what you do any other time. We're not spending time on that. We're spending time on executing our game plan on offense, defense, and special teams, and those other things. We're not going into this game with doing anything more than what we normally do in terms of cadences and things like that.
James, are there any ways this isn't going to be a normal home game since the NCAA is in charge of so many things?
Yeah, I think obviously it's in Beaver Stadium, but it's one of the things I think is really important is the students. Our students make a huge difference for us, and obviously being after finals and things like that makes it a little bit challenging. So that's a little bit of a concern. And then obviously it's a home game for us, but to your point, the college football playoff pretty much runs everything else. So it will not feel like it normally feels to us playing a home game in Beaver Stadium, but overall in general, obviously we're glad and fortunate to be home. So we'll take it. This is the structure that exists, and we're going to embrace it and move forward.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.